So the father is the firewall, and the father is the format. What do we mean here? It's a point of reference for anchoring the external masculine when you're not naturally masculine, right? So basically, in the female development, when you're trying to develop your feminine as a child, and so you're asexual to a certain age, and then the feminine will naturally more express itself. You express it out of an anchor of your own father, right? So because he is the boundary, he's the structure, you can actually rest more in your feminine, be more comfortable in your feminine. That's why girls with fathers tend to be less promiscuous. One of the reasons is they have masculine energy as they're developing, and they're not desperate for it, and then also don't feel unworthy of it at the same time. So you want something, and yet you feel like you have to run away from it once you have it, and so you go through partner after partner after partner, where you trust the collection of the masculine, right? The connection of that more than a single masculine, because he already thinks you're undeserving and he'll run away, just like your father ran away, right? What is the format? The format is a trusted masculine external anchor, right? So her love for him, she learns to trust and channel her own masculine and her own internal masculine sources, right? So her masculine is activated in his presence, right? So it's an internal masculine state triggered by an external masculine source. So, and this actually worked in like traditional cultures in dating as well. So the boundary extended to the father, so I trust this man as my boundary, and then the suitors had to go through the boundaries to talk to the daughter. And what did this do? This weeded out the pump it up chats, right? So the father would get a read of the man from the masculine and say, okay, yeah, he's just a playboy. This is what's going to happen. You know, blah, blah, blah. And now through her own father, she can view an unserious masculine, one that's just looking for entertainment, to dine and dip, basically. She can weed that out, right? Through trusting her own father and also herself. He'll probably let the nice boys through, and she'll be naturally unattracted to that to an extent. And then as that evolves, so like through the external masculine source and her own feminine drive, they would find a balance between that bad boy and nice boy, right? So without the format, she has no frame of reference for the chemistry of trusting an external masculine, which actually transitions. So when you're a child, it's a parental masculine transferred to a partner masculine as an adult. So with a more modern culture, whether the father's actually there or not, a lot of times it's single mother homes, but also culture degrades the masculine. So I don't need you anymore. I don't need a firewall. And so what happens? You're attracted to the pump and dumpers because you don't have a masculine as a frame of reference. And basically a lot of times you'll see parents are outdated. You don't know what you're talking about. The child saves the day. This again and again. You look at the Rey Skywalker and Harrison Ford reference, like that kind of daughter knows best, and defiant daughter just doesn't need her father. Big deal, right? So without the firewall, without the format, that is a dangerous situation. That's a multi-generational dysfunctional situation, right? The father is there to keep the girls off the stripper pole and the boys out of jail. And this is why broken homes create multi-generational effects. So, without that firewall in the format, she bounces around between bad boys, and that's it, because it's a repeat of her own father abandoning her. So whether that is being attracted to men that she subconsciously knows will abandon her because that's all she deserves, or having men be attracted to her and sabotaging that attraction because she does not have a frame of reference for it. I trust an external masculine as my partner like that. I trust an external masculine that is a competent masculine that has extended his boundary into my space. Right? That incapacity to trust is the definition of failure to pair bond. That is probably the majority of feminine culture today. Because a lot of times it's multi-generational, single-parent family combined with decades of masculine hatred. And so the masculine is never integrated. It is only selfish, narcissistic, feminine integrated and enabled and coddled. And of course, I mean, the absent masculine is a thing too as well. It's the other part of the picture. That's the other half of the bad chemistry of the declining, decadent West. So what happens is, like, you can get to the point, even if you're with a man who actually is a competent man who has extended his boundary to you, right? You cannot find that final surrender, because surrender is dependent on, like, synergy is dependent upon surrender, right? So you will fight that synergy, right? That final surrender. I am unlovable because daddy didn't love me because he wasn't present, because there was decades of that masculine abandonment. Compounded with the series of relationships where she was abandoned by Chads, right? High status masculine that just go through women, and also self-sabotage other men on the spectrum, right? So there's a compounding momentum to this, and a lot of times it ends up with multi-generational single-parent families. Now you create another generation with the same disposition and repeat the pattern. So what breaks it? I mean, how this always works is it's breakdown, stress, and then that demands the fusion of the sexes, right? The convergence and synergy back, and then it reestablishes the tradition of especially sexual modesty, and society continues. But it has to break down and fail first, and it has to, like, collectively compound over a couple generations, a la modernity, a la modern Sodom and Gomorrah. Blah.